All right. Welcome back to Life of the Germ. I'm your host, Jeremy, and I'm feeling pretty good right now. If I do say so myself. If that was my middle name, it'd be Jeremy. I'm feeling pretty good right now, Flag. I'm very relaxed. Um, so I just got back, actually from just outside Zion National Park in Utah. Um, Really, really surreal experience for a variety of reasons. I we so the probably by far the top two most popular hikes there are the Narrows, um, and then Angel's Landing. And I don't know about the Narrows, but I know Angel's Landing for sure. You need like a lottery, so you go and you like apply for a lottery thing, and then basically a bunch of people apply for that day, and then they randomly draw a name, and then if you're selected, you can bring your group. And um, yeah, basically like me and the people I was with, like we ended up winning the lottery. Like all 12 of us put in separate tickets, and a couple of us won, so we got the chance to go to Zion, or to go to Angel's Landing, and that was just so surreal. Like you basically, ba- basically Zion is just this like there's just, I'm not like a geologist at all. I need my geology friends to help me out here, but basically like I mean, you guys have seen pictures of it. It's just like huge walls of rocks like all around you. And Angel's Landing is really cool because like there's basically walls of rock all around you, and then in this specific area there's like this narrow strip. I would say like a rock peninsula where you're as high as all the other rocks, but like the rock like goes out really far, and you're just like surrounded by these walls of rocks in the middle, and like it's just so cool. So all that to say, like I got to do that. And I went with a group of people that honestly like I only I only knew one person, like two tops, before I went on the trip. There were about I think 8 or 9 of us. And um shout out my friend Marina for inviting me. I had a really fun time. Um I think, as with anything, I think like when you're meeting a lot of new people all at once, it definitely is draining. So I by the end of the trip, like my social battery was pretty drained, as it probably should have been. But yeah, just a really fun trip with really cool people. We got like an awesome Airbnb. So basically, the story goes like we all went out to run this trail race like just outside of Zion. And people were doing some crazy miles, like 20 milers, half marathons, and then my friend Marina did I think 60 miles, like 100 kilometers. So that was just nuts. She was running for like 15 hours straight. So I was originally gonna run the 20 miler, which was yesterday, actually on my birthday. And I had this Achilles problem that I think I've been telling you guys about a little bit, and it just didn't get better in time. So I decided to just kind of pull out of the race, just because I really want to run this summer, and I don't want to risk like I'm sure I could have done it. Like I think it's probably like 80 to 90% of the way healed, but I just 20 miles of like brutal like kind of impact over and over, I just didn't think would have been good for the Achilles, and God knows how long that would have taken to recover. It's already been like a month, and it's just like taking forever. So I didn't want to extend that anymore. But still really good. Like I got to cheer on these people that I met. And yeah, it was a really fun time. And then yeah, Saturday, like I said, was my birthday, so I got to spend my birthday out in a place where I've never been before, and like I've learned to like love national parks from me and my family going out, trying different ones like every year as a kid growing up. So to get to explore a new one on my birthday from the big 24, I was like pretty excited for that. So yeah, overall really good weekend. I just got back actually, so like um I I got like a bunch of crap here. Um which honestly, if I'm gonna keep it real, okay, I hope this is like somewhat back to normal. if I'm gonna keep it real, like I love unpacking. Something about unpacking after a trip is done is like the best thing ever. Like you just, especially on a Sunday, like we actually got back at like a reasonable hour. It's like 7:30, so like I'm gonna like eat, unpack, shower, and just like chill the rest of the night. Probably like look at the pictures that I took throughout the trip. I did record some footage for a documentary, or Flex Docs, I should say. Not really a doc, but um, yeah, like I don't think that'll get posted till this summer, but like yeah, stay tuned for that. I still got to post the X Games from January. That'll tell you how busy I've been and how much I really don't like editing video. But so I'll post X Games probably in the summer, and then like whenever I get around to uploading the Zion one, I'll do that too. But yeah, with all that being said, like really good weekend, and then I come home to I think my sisters actually sent me a gift for my birthday, and I didn't open it yet. I swear I didn't. So you're gonna get like my live reaction, but I'm pretty sure from what I was feeling that they like to buy me records because you guys obviously know I have a record player. So I was gonna see what record we got here. I can do a little unboxing for you guys. Here we go. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but for Jeremy. Look at that. I mean that's just electric. Oh yes, let's go. Oh god, my sisters know me so well. If you don't know this if you don't know this album, you have got to hop on. And this is honestly, I'm a little late to the game here. Like people have been listening to this for years. This is What Could Possibly Go Wrong by Dominic Fike. Just honestly, like I discovered him last year over winter break, and like I'm gonna set this up actually. But yeah, I don't know if you guys know, but like yeah, Dom Fike is kind of my boy. I discovered him over the winter last year, and like just really good artist. I'm just gonna make sure. I want to make sure that this keeps running so I don't get the crap audio. But yeah, shout out my sisters. Thanks a ton. Yeah, I think, I didn't get as much reflecting as I would have liked to kind of think about this past year and going forward, like what I'm hoping to accomplish in 2024. Like I've said, I have this exam like mid-May, and I'm really like, I do this thing where like basically nothing exists in my life beyond that day. So I think I really just need to get through that first, and then I can really start to hone in on some things I want to accomplish. I think at least in year 24 of my life, I really want to run another marathon. I think that would be oh, first sneeze ever on the pod. I think that was kind of crazy. I really want to run another marathon. I think that would be super cool. And yeah, definitely run a trail race. Like I think that would be sick too. But besides that, like, yeah, I really gotta make it through this exam first, and then I think I can start thinking more deeply about some of this other stuff. But yeah, getting into the wisdom of the week, find out. So this is actually shortened from like, I'm not gonna say it because like I don't necessarily like to swear on here, but it's just like I'll just say like mess around and find out. Like you can swap mess with another word, and that's kind of the shortened version that I took it from. This find out, and this quote I think often gets tossed around. And I wanted to take an episode to really spend and like dive a little deeper into it because I had, when I entered the program for my PhD, there was this dude named Brian who's I think he was in like his 30s, so a little bit older than I am, and he always told me, I always like asking people that are just a little bit ahead of in life than I am, like like if you were in my shoes, like what is something that you tell yourself like when you were my age? And he said like dude, you just got to mess around and find out. And I was like, well, what do you mean by that? He's a very like, kind of like wishy-washy, like didn't really tell you things straight up, very like elusive kind of individual. But he just said like, just try everything, do everything. He's like, Jeremy, like in your 20s, no one expects anything of you. And in your 30s, you know, still everyone knows you're going to make mistakes and stuff, but I mean, you're more expected in society to kind of have your stuff figured out a little more, right? But in your 20s, especially where I'm at now, 24, no one expects anything of you, right? It's like, and maybe people have standards that, you know, whatever, and so be it. But at the end of the day, like, this is the time in your life where, and I'm just gonna say this in the 20s. I really think you could do this throughout your entire life, but especially like early on, like, and sometimes I do this too. Like, I can't just say like, I like to say a lot of times like, oh, you know, other people, but this includes me too. Like, you get locked into your life, you get comfortable, and you kind of find something that works and you just stick to it, right? And you get all the stuff done, you get a job, you make good money, you get to do like some pretty like, I don't know, simple things on the weekend that are able to be like enough, right? For you to feel like you're cutting loose on the weekends, whether that's like grabbing a beer at a bar or something, you know, and like, or whatever it is. And like, that's, you know, enough for you. But I think what all this find out is like, when someone gives you an opportunity to do something, or when you see an opportunity that presents itself, and, you know, this might be an opportunity that like you might be totally on board with. Like, you're like, this is something that I've always wanted to do. Like this trail race, for example. Like, I love running. I love trails. Mixing those two together, I mean, that was a no-brainer. Like, I've never even seen a trail race, but I knew I was going to like it. And obviously it didn't work out as planned, but like, this is a great example of that, right? Where like the opportunity was there. My friend invited me and I was like, yeah, let's do it, you know? And then there's the other side of things where maybe you get a really cool opportunity presented, but it's something that's like very uncomfortable for you. Like, honestly, recently a lot of people have been like, have been like asking me to like, oh, let's like go out and like dance, not at like a club or anything, but more so like more formal, right? Like, you have a partner and you're doing moves and stuff. And that to me is something that like, that is very uncomfortable for me. Like, I get very tense because I know I'm not good at it. And like, I know I look like a fool out there, right? But like, I still like, I like to take advantage of these opportunities, right? Because these are examples that you could do in your 30s and stuff. But I think now is the time to experience all that stuff and like make mistakes. Like, what I find is often as life goes on, people become more conservative, right? Because they dial in on the things they're good at. And as you go on in life, you have more responsibilities, right? You have assets, you have children, you have stuff that you have to protect, and therefore you have to keep those things in mind when you're making decisions, right? Someone like me, single guy, graduate student in Denver, like picked up everything and left, right? Like, I don't have a lot to lose, you know? It's like, and therefore, like, this is the time in my life where I don't need to be radical, right? I can just go to work, going back and forth to work every day, call it a day, get a drink on the weekend, and then you start it all over again. But the essence of this wisdom is that you're going to have the rest of your life to do that. And you don't get in that conservative pattern at this point in your life. You're too young. And this goes out to anyone, like, I would say like 20s or younger than that. And even 30s, if like you feel like, I don't know, like you still are kind of like living this life where you kind of are maybe on your own, or you don't have a lot of responsibilities, like chase the things that you want to do, or chase things that you might not even think that you like initially, right? Like, for me, I don't I don't know if I particularly love dancing, but it like makes me feel alive because I get like stressed and I have that fear in me, and that fear really makes me like it makes you feel something, right? And it's like I don't I don't want to live my life in this numb state where you do the same thing every week, even though it becomes very comfortable, right? Because there's no you have the routine down and you figured it out, right? Um, and it's not very glamorous, but it works, right? But every once in a while, you have to bust out of that routine and like try something new, and maybe do something that you probably know is going to result in a quote unquote failure, right? Or you're going to make mistakes along the way. That's how you grow as a person, right? And in your teens and your 20s, like that's what this part of your life is about. And I just think like I don't know. I drove in the car back from Zion. It was about an 8 hour drive today, and I just had a lot of time to think about stuff. And I get really antsy if when I'm in the car all day, like a lot of other people. And I got home today, and I haven't ridden my skateboard in so long. And I just took my board to the park and just did a loop in the park, listened to some music, and I just felt incredible, And um, I just think like as you as you go on in life, you realize that it just keeps speeding up and speeding up, and it never slows down. And I'm now 24, and I think I've been blessed to figure this out at an early age that life is very, very short. And while I'd like to say I'm going to live till, 80, 90, I think like we all know that not a day on this planet is guaranteed. And like for those people that have lived through their 20s or in their 20s or haven't even lived their 20s yet, I would say that like you can appreciate that like I just think it goes so fast, right? And like um 24 to a lot of people feels really old. To a lot of people, it feels really young. But like at the end of the day, like, like I feel like I'm going to blink and I'm going to be 25, and I'm going to take a deep breath, and like 30 seconds later, I'm going to be 30, and it's just like, it's like life is something that like, it's like the sprint, right? And like, I think near the end of the run, you see the finish line and you start to speed up more and more and more. And like, it's this like positive feedback loop where like the more you see the finish, the more you go faster. And then you just keep going and going. And like, I think there becomes maybe a time where that flips. Maybe like when you start, I don't know, when your kids go away and like maybe you start to retire, things start to slow down again. But until you reach that point in your life, like, it really is just going to keep picking up and up and up. And like your time is so limited. And it's just like, I think, I don't know. Some days I feel like if time is like in my hand, I can see it sort of like slipping between my fingers. It's like you try to grasp onto it, but the more you try to hold it, the more it tends to go, and I just think you gotta, find out what you like and what you don't and just experience life, like do everything that you can do on this planet, and just like live, I think that's what this quote is all about. And especially at a time when you're in like the prime of your life, right? Like just like I remember growing up as a kid and my dad would always be like, oh, your young 20s, just like your 20s in general are just like, at least physically wise, you're just like, you're most in tune with yourself. Like, this is when you're like peak fitness, right? So like exercise wise, in theory, like you could be able to do whatever you want, right? Whereas, as that time like goes by, like at least on that side of things, that's not always going to be the case, and that's not guaranteed. But at least now for a lot of people, like 20s is generally the age where a lot of that stuff is guaranteed, that you can, like go on a beach. And I remember last spring break, like me and my friends went on the beach and I was like, let's like sprint and see who's like the fastest, you know, and we don't have to stretch, and we're just like, okay, let's go. And you just go, you know, and it's like, I think we really take those things for granted. Or like me, like just being able to walk all over this weekend, you know, and doing all this stuff, like cheering on my friends, like being able to run with them in the finish, you know, it's just like all this stuff, like none of this is guaranteed, right? But right now in your teens and in your 20s, like it is. So take advantage of it and like find those things that you like to do now and then try to secure those for the future. You know, like what are the steps that I can take if I know that I like running? Like what can I do now that sets me up to be able to run when I'm 60, right? Like, and all those things have to come together, right? Diet, sleep, stretching, and then consistent exercise. Like all those have to be maintained in order for me to do that stuff that I love when I'm 60, you know? And this is something that I don't give enough thought to, but I think it's important to think about. But yeah, I would just say in conclusion, like mess around and find out. Like if there's something that you're like, oh, I don't really know if I like to do it, do it. Because when you're 40, you're gonna think back and be like, why didn't I do that? Like when you're 40, maybe there's something that like maybe you become like you get a beer belly, you who knows? Like no one knows. But like say something happens and you're unable to do those things when you're 40. Like you're gonna look back on those times when you were like, oh, like, you know, when you were, you know, in between and then you opted not to, you're going to look back and say, why did I say no to that? You know? And that is a thing where it's like, I'm not going to let that eat me up inside. Like I'm going to take advantage of that and try to do like the best I can. So, yeah, I'm excited for another year on this planet, 24. We'll see what happens. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Jeremy, and, I'll catch you in the next episode.